Thank you for
I like reading my books in textbooks on paper, but it looks like paper is becoming outdated. So the British firm by the name Pearson says it's no longer printing textbooks in a printed form, so or what you call a hard copy. So that's part of one story. Quite a number of big economic and corporate news out of the UK today. Let's talk to Juliana Olayinka, who is a Channel's television business correspondent out of our studios in London. Juliana, good morning.
Good morning, Pearson. Nice to see you.
Great. Nursery rhymes and things like that are on electronic gadgets these days. We all enjoyed the holding those little books on assemblies and singing the hymns and reading them in the classes. But it looks like these days, a person says, well, goodbye to textbooks. Are you going to miss it?
Do you know, this is quite an interesting story, particularly for people like myself. Listen, I'm an avid book reader, and I've never been able to successfully cross over to Kindle, but it's not as big or as drastic as it may seem. Pearson, a British business, the world's biggest education company that provides textbooks, courseware, and testing material, is breaking from the traditional and more expensive textbook publishing model by releasing all its titles for the American college market in a digital form. This is a move that isn't necessarily because the company wants to become more modern. The firm is 175 years old, and over the past decade, of course, we all know there's been a rapid switch to digital in the music, film, and newspaper industries. But it's all about the money with Pearson, which is why we're talking about it. Now, believe it or not, an average textbook costs around $110. But for some courses, it can actually stretch as high as $200. And Pearson has realized that most students are borrowing from their friends, buying second-hand, or accessing online for free, which has dented their profit margin. So from now on, all future releases of its 1,500 active US titles will be digital first and updated on an ongoing basis. So that means more cost-effective measures for the students and more profits in the long run for Pearson.
If you're 175 years old, no one can teach you new tricks. Perhaps a person has to learn new tricks. I'm sure not just myself and yourself, millions of people around the world, including workers, some workers in Pearson, will miss the feel of the hardcover books, textbooks. But let's talk about some other corporate news. Burberry, what's happening to this company in terms of its shares with the latest news? Then let's fly with Ryanair. The shares are climbing, but the company says it's going to have some little problem with the Boeing 737 MAX.
Quite interesting, actually, because I spoke to you yesterday saying that this news was coming up, and a lot of traders didn't think that Burberry would do well. But alas, the iconic British fashion brand has boosted sales as new designs by creative chief Riccardo Tisci was snapped up by customers. Shares in the firm were up 8.26% this morning following the first quarter trading update. Now, Tisci joined the firm last year as the heritage brand. Like others, Gucci, Fendi, a lot of them are trying to transform its image. His appointment at first did receive some backlash, but he's overhauled Burberry, and of course it's boosted the sales. So good news for them, and he's worked, so happy days. Irish budget line, Ryanair, as you said, the delay in bringing its fleet of ground 737 MAX airliners back into service would force it to cut its flights. Obviously, this is a big season in the summer, but the market had actually anticipated that they would say this. So shares did fly 1.8% just as I came on to speak to you, having opened lower by 0.9%, so they're kind of balancing out. Elsewhere, Bosun, the FTSE is off to a slow but still positive start this morning, rising 3 points. Traders here, I must say, are keeping a very close eye on the election of Ursula von der Leyen to the role of European Commission President later tonight, as that could have a sentiment for the rest of the week. Also later today, we'll be getting the jobs market report, so I'm sure I'll be feeding back to Chimmy in the afternoon.
Yes. Let's just wrap it up with the new £50 note, which will have, I don't know, if you have the new notes, do you have any of the old or new, this new note? When is it going to come into circulation? If you have anyone, just raise it up there. I'm not too sure. Who's on the current one? Got a £50 note for me, Juliana?
I must say, can I just say, Pearson, this is very, very difficult to find. I'm holding up a £50 note here. And unless you're an avid traveller like you, or you're somebody who shops a lot on the high streets in Knightsbridge and central London, I must say, surprise, surprise, I must let our viewers know that this £50 note is very, very rare.
Very rare collection. £50. That's amazing to find that. Just £50. I'm not sure you can find 50 naira on any Nigerian street. But that's a £50. So who is on it? And who is the new guy who is going to be the new face of the £50 note?
Well, the Bank of England announced yesterday that the famed British codebreaker Alan Turing will be the face of the British £50 note. The current cotton note, the one I've just been holding, was first issued in 2011. And on the front here, it bears the image of Queen Elizabeth II. And on the reverse, it's got the images of engineer and scientist James Watt and the industrialist and entrepreneur Matthew Boulton on the reverse here. Turing is a war hero. He's a computer science engineer who is quite widely considered to be the father of modern computing. Turing was selected from a list of nearly 1,000 eligible people who have contributed to science. So I'll be putting this back in the bank, Bosun, because like I said, it's not easy to find a £50 note, and I don't want to be spending it.
Just keep it under your pillow. For me, I'll be in London anytime soon. Since the new one will be out in 2021, I should be in London before 2021. I'll pick that old one up from you. It's still a legal tender. When I get to you at Cavendish Square, there, we might just have lunch together.
I'll keep it for you, Bosun.
Okay, just keep that for me. Okay. Just put this in here. Thank you so much for coming through this morning. See you in the afternoon on Business Incorporated with Chimezie Obiwago, Juliana Olayinka.
Thank you, Bosun.
Great. So let's get back at our marketplace. There are quite some announcements coming through, and you've heard what we told you earlier, that the Nigeria's SEC started yesterday, 15th till the 28th, to verify more than 4,000 claims Nigerians who invested in an illegal investment scheme based in Kano State. The SEC says if you had invested in this Downtata Success, whatever company, please step forward with relevant documents that you took while you put the money in there. The office of that particular company has since been closed down. They were illegal. They were registered with the regulatory authorities, and now the mess is being cleared up. Let's go back to you in 2.